everyone, this is Shelly May and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be bringing you all a book review today on Just Mercy, the Story of Justice and Redemption by Bryan Stevenson, which is a nonfiction that was released in 2014. And so I first heard about this book from the YouTube channel A Book Olive. She did a group read for it in the beginning of December, and I wasn't able to participate in the group read, but then I seen the trailer for the movie Just Mercy, which was released on January 10th. A great movie. So when I seen that trailer, I had to push the book up on the TBR list. So here goes. I gave it 5 stars. Excellent book. It was the first book that I read for 2020, and I recommend it. So Bryan Stevenson is the executive director of the Equal Justice Initiative, and he is the professor of law for New York Law University. And so he starts this Just Mercy off by his telling of his story of his beginning years in the law field. He was psychology. He was a psychology major, but he found that wasn't the field for him before he even finished up. So he went directly into law school, and he was kind of wishy-washy on law. But he wanted to be in a field where he could help people. And so he found out about the Southern Prisoners Defense Committee that was out of Atlanta. And he began working with them. And so his first dealings with inmate on death row was through this defense committee, and he tells how he's driving to the prison, and he is just supposed to tell the inmates, which was Anthony Hinton. He's supposed to just tell him that they haven't set an execution date, and he was really nervous about how he was going to have this conversation. But with all that said, he made it there. They ended up talking for 2 hours. He really made him feel more comfortable, and actually Anthony Hinton has a book out called The Sun Does Shine, How I Found Life and Freedom on Death Row. And I'm going to read that one next. Well, maybe not next, but I will be reading that soon. So that's how we're introduced to the story. So the highlights of Just Mercy are the coming to age. Bryan Stevenson, he includes, the story of his life, his dealings with police and dealing with those in the prison system, in the court systems, as a black lawyer. And so I enjoyed hearing his story, and he also, intertwined other personal stories of the clients that he worked with. And the main client we hear about is Walter McMillan. So I think he merged all of these stories together in a way that it will keep your interest. It kept my interest. And feelings, compassion. You could not hear these stories and not feel compassion. He told one story of a young girl who had lost her mom at a young age. I believe she lost her mom at 9. She had watched her mom be raped by her dad. The little girl had poisoned herself with lighter fluid, so she had defects as a result of that. Once her mom passed, then her dad started to mess with her sexually, so she ended up leaving home and became homeless as a teenager. she commits the crime, and she gets treated as an adult in the prison system. And so the way this story was told, you couldn't help to hurt for her. Walter McMillan, the main story, this is a man who worked all his life and was sleeping with a married woman, but he shouldn't have been put on death row. But they found a way to attach another crime. Evidence showed that he did not commit this crime, and he was on death row, about to lose his life until he came in contact with Bryan Stevenson. And so I think the purpose of him writing this story is to show how those who are less fortunate, those individuals who are mentally ill, how they have to deal with court-appointed attorneys, and they don't get the same treatment as maybe others because they don't have the money. So I think he tells this story because he wants us who maybe don't see that part of life to know what these people are having to deal with, what the criminal justice system can be like. And he presented it in a way where you couldn't help but have sorrow and pity for them. He even brings up stories of victims who were, they were the ones who were affected by these crimes that these individuals committed. But they even thought that they didn't get the appropriate sentencing for what they committed, for the crimes that they committed. It tells us how life is on death row, how it is for those who are on death row. We get some insight into that. But if I had to, as I end this, if I were to meet Bryan Stevenson and asked him a question, I would ask him how, or did he have time, or did he have time for his personal life? Because you can tell by the stories that he devoted time to his clients, and not making the money that most lawyers make. He built up relationships with his clients. He didn't, once they were released, the ones that he was able to release, they were still in contact. He would visit his clients on numerous occasions, and a lot of times it's just really checking on them. One client he did, actually, he was executed, and the client had asked that Bryan come to his execution because he didn't have any family, and Bryan was there for him. So he really devoted the time and energy to his job, and I don't see where he would have had time for himself. And he doesn't mention that any of his that part of his personal life. I didn't know much about this subject, the subject of death row, how court-appointed attorneys works, and we really don't get a lot of statistical data. We're really just hearing personal stories, but after reading this, it does encourage me to want to research this topic more and learn more. So yeah, that's it. Until next time, I'll talk to you all later.
you.